If you are looking for just a new meal idea for dinner tonight, this one is going to be dairy-free, gluten-free. I'm making my gluten-free lamb meatballs that cook on a sheet pan, takes 25 minutes in the oven. I'm also sharing my dairy-free mashed potatoes that come together. They cook for 5 minutes in the Instant Pot, that is it. And then we're gonna top all of that mashed potato goodness off with some mushroom gravy, which also takes under 10 minutes. Anyways, let's hop into the video. Okay, so we're going to get started with 1 pound of ground lamb. I get this from Aldi, and I also have a half of a onion that's been chopped, 2 eggs, and 2 cloves of garlic. This is going to be our breadcrumbs, and that's going to be our almond flour. I get that from Costco, but I'll link the other one that I like from Amazon. You're going to put all of those things in a bowl. Look at these beautiful yolks on these pasture-raised eggs. Those are the ones that I've shared lately in the Costco hauls. They are just really rich and delicious. We're going to mix all of that together, and then once we have that in, I'm going to show you the seasonings that we're going to use that are really going to give this the flavor. You can also use some plastic gloves, which is what I kind of got in here with. We have some parsley. We also have fennel seed, which is going to give it that sausage-like flavor. And that is really great for your digestive system. It's used for a digestive aid if you ever go to like Indian restaurants. Love fennel. And then we are also going to use some smoked paprika. This is what elevates it and just makes it taste so good. So we are going to get all this mixed up. Once that is mixed up and combined, we're going to add some salt. And then we're going to add 1 teaspoon of the dried parsley, 1 teaspoon of the fennel, and then 3/4 teaspoon of the smoked paprika. We're going to mix all that in. This is what it looks like right before I mix it. And I decided I was going to put on some gloves because this wasn't working for me. So I started using my gloves. Once all of that's mixed and incorporated, you're going to add 3/4 cup of your almond flour. You're going to get that in there. Mix it all up, and this is going to act as your breadcrumbs, and obviously it's gluten-free because it's made from almonds. I like to use these little 1/4 cup measured scoops because I don't really like making meatballs with my hands, but if you don't mind that, you can go ahead and do that. I think it's easier if you wet your hands when you make meatballs, but this is my quick and easy way of just hopping in there, scooping some of this mixture out, and then popping it on the sheet pan, which I have with some just unbleached parchment paper. You can pick that up from almost anywhere, but I'll link some options that you can find online. And then for the edges, you can always go in later, and I'll like kind of squeeze the edges together with a glove, just like I'm doing right here. My oven has already been preheated to 375 degrees, and we're just squeezing all those together. This makes about 14 meatballs, and they're a good sized meatball too. So this is enough to feed 3 to 4 people if you're doing 3 or 4. So I'm going to pop that in the oven, but whilst that's cooking, I am going to peel these yellow potatoes. You could also use red if you prefer that. I'm going to peel them even though most of the nutrients are in the skin. You're still going to get a good bit of potassium and vitamin C from the flesh of the potato. I'm going to skin those, and then I'm going to cut those up. I'm going to get everything sort of the same size so that it cooks at the same temperature and you get the same texture. So really easy, just chop those up. Use whatever potatoes you like, but I have not used russets for this. Once you have all of those peeled, I am working with 6 potatoes. These are about a medium large size. They're not super big. And I also have 2 cloves of garlic that I've cut up. And then I also have salt. Once all these are cut up, you are going to start adding these to your Instant Pot. And I have 1.5 cups of chicken stock. That's what's going to give this flavor, and it's going to infuse all of that as it's cooking in the Instant Pot. It just makes life easier, and it cuts out a bunch of steps. You could boil potatoes on the stove and then drain them and do all of that, but this is so much easier. I actually made this by accident about a year ago, and I have been making it ever since. So you're going to sprinkle in your salt while this is cooking so all those flavors get in there. And then once you're done with that, you're also going to go ahead and just put all of that garlic in there because that garlic is going to soften, and you'll be able to just smash all of that together. You're going to add in your stock. You could use chicken stock, you could use beef stock, or you could use vegetable stock. I've used all of the above. Once all of that's covered, I'm going to show you kind of how much liquid is in here. So it's not a ton. and you're going to use the high temperature button on your Instant Pot. You're going to close that up and you're going to set it for 5 minutes on high, and that is it. You can walk away and you can do something else, or you can start making your mushroom gravy, which is what I'm going to get into. I have these organic whole baby Bella mushrooms. I get this big pack from Costco. It's like $4.49 in my area. And this I'm going to use for 2 to 3 different meals. There's a ton of them in there. This is what our meatballs look like. I mean, like, look at this. It's just, these are so good. When I tell you they're delicious, they are delicious. So that is what they look like. I'm just going to show you that. But this is the mushrooms. We have them all cleaned up, and then we are just going to chop, chop, chop. And this is one of those things where it makes the meal even heartier, and you're getting in some extra nutrients, vitamins, and you're getting in some fibers that your good gut bacteria really, really like. So we are going to add some coconut oil. You could also use olive oil right here. And this is what we're going to use to saute our mushrooms. The mushrooms do not take long to cook at all. You just pop those in there. I've been doing this so many times. I had to remember to write this recipe down. I'll have to share that very, very soon. So you're just going to saute all of that. And this happens very, very quickly, but I sped it up. So once you get all of that, once you see it's all kind of coated in the oil, you're going to add just a splash of stock, and that's going to steam. And if I had to measure, I'd say about 2 tablespoons of stock. It's not much. You're going to remove that from the eye once you see all of the moisture has kind of absorbed into the mushrooms. You're going to add in 1 tablespoon of tapioca flour. And this is what's going to make it a gravy. This is what keeps it gluten-free. This is so, so good and so simple. Once you get all of that in the pan, you're just going to stir until you don't really see any of that white floury mixture. And this is also going to take away some of the starchy flavor. So again, this is off the eye, but we're going to put it back on the eye once we have it. So it's back on the eye. I am adding my vegetable stock. My chicken stock, and we're just adding 1 cup of that. Then we're going to kind of deglaze the pan with this, and you'll see it start to change color and thicken, and that's how you know our gravy is happening. I like to add a little bit of salt to this, or whatever seasonings you like you can add. You can go ahead and taste it. I used a low sodium chicken broth here, so I did add a little bit of salt, but you could leave the salt completely out if you wanted to. So we're going to stir, and this is on medium heat, and then we're going to turn it up a bit just so this can start to thicken, but you want to do that gradually so you don't burn it and make it kind of, tapioca can turn into like a sticky. You don't want that. So I added dried parsley because that is going to complement the meatballs that we've made, and it's also going to be delicious on top of the mashed potatoes. So we're just going to stir this, and as you can see, it changes very quickly, and you are then going to turn your heat up just a bit, and then it's going to start to thicken. So you're just kind of bringing it up to a simmer, so not high heat, but medium high heat. And then your gravy is as good as done. It is really that simple. This is what it looks like. And that is our brown mushroom gravy. All right, so next up, we are going to check on our potatoes. Of course, you vent it, follow the directions on your Instant Pot manual if you've never used one before. I'm going to show you the liquid that's here, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with that liquid. So you're going to get a glass safe dish, and you are going to pour out most of this broth. And you're not going to throw it away. You're going to reserve it just in case you need it. And if you've made mashed potatoes before, you may have done this before where you've kept a little bit of the water. If you've made pasta, you might keep a little bit of the pasta water because it's a good starch, and it's great for if you want to make sure the consistency is to your liking, but still adding in flavor. I make sure that they're fork tender. You could use the back of a fork to mash these, the back of a big spoon or a slotted spoon, but I'm just going to go in with my potato masher. And I'm also going to add in, this is Nutiva red palm oil, not to be confused with palm seed oil, which is not great for you, but this is actually really good for us. And this is the red palm fruit oil, very, very different. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon of this because a little bit goes a long way. I usually use the Nutiva shortening, but it's been out of stock. So I started just using this, and you just need a very, very small amount. It tastes really buttery and rich and delicious. But if you are not dairy free, you could always add whatever butter you like in here. So I'm just going to mash that with the Nutiva red palm fruit oil in here. And I'm also going to add some coconut cream. So as I'm mashing this, I'm just making sure everything's mixed in. I'm not going to knead this because I like the consistency that it is before I add in this is the ingredient that makes it taste almost like sour cream is in it. I am using the Chosen Foods avocado mayo. I'm adding 2 tablespoons in here. And I am going to just stir all of that in. This is what makes it taste like there is dairy in it, because no lie, it tastes like sour cream. Then I added a couple tablespoons of coconut cream, and I'm just mixing all of that in there. It does not taste like coconut, trust me. But I'm just mixing all of that until it gets the consistency that we like. And this is the consistency that we like. We like it kind of a couple of chunks in there for texture, but most of it's pretty just smooth and creamy. This is what the 5-minute mashed potatoes, I mean, it's so simple. That's it. That's how they look. And I'm going to show you what it looks like plated up. These are the meatballs. I just served it with some broccoli that we had. I topped the mashed potatoes with that brown mushroom gravy, and dinner is that simple. My son, who does not like mashed potatoes, eats it because he likes the mushrooms on top. I'm going to cut into one of these lamb meatballs so you can see what it looks like, and they're super tender and delicious, and they have just the tiniest bit of crust on the outside. They're golden and they're so good. And here's up close and personal with my mashed potatoes and the gravy, just so you can see how that looks. It is so good. I hope that you try this recipe. Until next time, your life matters, what you do with it matters. So what will you steward well? Peace.